All right, I'm going to tell you what a men's circle is, why you should join or start one, and how to start one. It's very easy. Doesn't matter where you live, you can make it happen. So a men's circle is basically, it's a gathering, just guys. You just sit in a circle and you talk about your problems, or you just talk about what's going well in your life as well. It's just a space to be vulnerable, to talk for like 5 minutes. Everyone listens to you. They don't interrupt. Now, different men's circles might work in different ways, but at least in my experience, that's basically what it is. Now, why you should join or start one? It's because you will see that even if you do have close friends that you can talk to, you might find that talking about your life at a men's circle will feel quite different, and you might be able to talk about things in a different way, and you'll see that the friendships you'll make are pretty much instantaneous. You meet these strangers, you talk about your life, you listen to them talk about their lives, and then you might give them a hug the first time you meet them, because you'll feel so close already, because some of them will tell you things they've never told anyone else, and they've only just met you, And it's a great way to have a regular social thing that you do every week or almost every week. No big deal if you skip it once in a while, but it's a weekly thing. And if you don't have anything to say, you can just listen to other guys talk. And so it becomes this routine. And having, as I've talked about this before, having a regular thing that you do, for example, every week is going to be really good to build friendships. I recommend doing something more active as well, like maybe sports or something, but a men's circle is amazing. So if there is no men's circle in your area, you can look for it on meetup.com or on Facebook maybe, or just Google it, whatever. If there is no men's circle, you got to create one yourself. And if you're thinking, I don't know how to do that, or I don't want to do that, I'm not good at organizing stuff, I'm not a good leader. First of all, that's a limiting belief and may be entirely untrue. And second of all, you don't need to be, particularly good at leading anything. It's not that complicated. So what you're going to do, you could get on meetup.com and create your own event. I believe you have to pay for the membership, so you can do that. That would be the easiest way, especially if you're in a fairly big city. If you don't want to do that, you can use local Facebook groups and see what happens. You could post something like, hey, I'm starting a men's circle. I want to do it every week. Is anybody else interested? Make sure to post that on several groups, and maybe repost it after a couple weeks to make sure that other people see it as well. And say something like, if you're interested, comment right here and I will send you a message. And you send them a message, and you send them a link to a WhatsApp group, for example. If WhatsApp is commonly used where you live, it doesn't have to be WhatsApp, whatever. So you create, for example, a WhatsApp group with a link that people can share. You send them the link, they join the group. Great, you have a few guys in your group. Now you got to figure out where to hold the meeting and when. Now the where, you can probably decide that for yourself. Maybe something that's convenient for everyone. Maybe something quite central. And for the when, I would suggest creating a poll. You're like, okay, how about, this day or that day at around this time. You see what people prefer, and then you're like, okay, great. It sounds like we're going to do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. at this cafe, for example. Now, in terms of the location, I'm all itchy because of mosquitoes. In terms of the location, this is not a good fabric. In terms of the location, you got the best thing would be at a park. Because if you can go to a park, first of all, it just feels kind of nice to sit on the grass with a bunch of guys. But it's also it's easier to find an isolated spot where you can just be, away from others. Because if you're at a cafe and there's a lot of people nearby and they can listen to your conversation, that's not great. So in terms of the meeting spot, you wanna think hard about it. You wanna do some research. Maybe ideally, that's what I would suggest. Now, in terms of the actual men's circle, basically, you're there with the guys. You're like, okay, let's start. Let me explain how this works. My name is Mathieu. You introduce yourself real quickly, maybe, and you say, all right. So what we're gonna do is we're each gonna talk one by one. No interruptions. Absolutely no interruptions. This is very important. Okay, we're gonna do about like 5 minutes each. It's not very strict, but and whoever wants to talk next can indicate that they want to talk. Now, sometimes people are too shy, so you might have to decide to just do like clockwise or counterclockwise instead. So people are just like kind of forced to talk. Of course, they don't have to talk. But if they keep showing up to the meetings and they never talk, then maybe it's a bit weird. Like they just listen to other people. It's like, I mean, come on, dude. Like you're also here to talk, so you should encourage them to talk. But maybe the first time they're gonna be shy. Like no big deal. Yeah, no interruptions. And like this, I mean, you can tweak it. As I said, different men's circles work in different ways. What I like to do is, someone talks for 5 minutes. We don't comment on it, and then someone talks 5 minutes, someone talks, etc. Then when everyone is done, we can start having a conversation, and we can comment on what other people said. But I would suggest setting up a rule where people have to ask the person something like, "Is it okay with you if I give you my opinion on this?" Because sometimes you just want to vent, you just want to talk about your shit, and you're not actually there to receive advice. Advice is great if that's what you're looking for, but maybe it's not the point for everyone. So I think that's important. Another way to structure it is you have a conversation and people ask questions right after someone is done talking. The benefit of that is that it's still fresh and people will remember what the guy just said because he just spoke for 5 minutes right now. But then it can, the conversation can go on for a really long time. So you got to make sure that's where, leadership skills, maybe, if that's the right word, come in handy. You got to make sure to interrupt people and say, "Hey guys, this is great, but we gotta let someone else speak now." Okay. Whereas if first you let every person speak with no conversation, no questions or anything, then that, let's say you're 5 people. When everyone's done talking, then about 30 minutes will have passed, and you still have a bunch of time to talk about stuff. That's essentially how it works. Try to have an end time as well. For example, you say it's going to be from 6:30 until 8. It's about an hour and a half. And insist that people should get there on time. Maybe factor in the fact that some people are going to be a bit late, and maybe if you start at 6:30, you can start like realistically at like 6:40. But it's very important that you start when everyone's there. Like you don't want someone to show up late. It happens. It's not a terrible thing to happen, but it does break the flow a little bit. Like you got someone, talking about his dead dad, and then someone shows up like, "Hey, is this the men's circle?" It can be a bit awkward. So you should insist that people should get there on time. What else is there to say? I think that's about it. When it's done, you're like, okay, we're done. It's 8 p.m. now. If you guys want to stick around and talk, that's cool, but I gotta go home. I hope to see you guys next week. And then that's it. And really, even if you think you're not good at organizing these things, it doesn't take much, okay? And you know what? If you don't like organizing, if you do it once and you realize it's not really your thing, just ask someone else to organize it for you if you really hate it, But I would encourage you. I mean, it's a good way to get out of your comfort zone and to learn a new skill, essentially. And it feels really meaningful, at least to me, knowing that I'm the one gathering these men together and I'm helping them just by letting them talk and just being there. That's all I'm doing.